She's a survivor, mother, mentor, entrepreneur, and an influencer. Sis, you in the building? Talk to us.
Hey, everybody. It's Nathifa Rukiyaa.
That's what's up. That's what's up. She in the green room. Thank you for taking the time out to holler at your bruh. Dr. Harper, Maestro, host over here at QTV Multimedia, and we are so glad and honored to have you on the show. Introduce yourself, good sister.
I am Nathifa, as he has stated. I am a mother, a survivor, a mentor to the community. I am an entrepreneur, and I am an influencer. I'm just a woman of many titles.
I'm talking about quadruple threat. You know what I'm saying? Now your story is one of those stories that only a survivor can tell. But can you give us a timeline? Just briefly tell us, how your upbringing was. We ain't gonna hold you.
Oh, absolutely. So it's for me, I grew up in the Virgin Islands, in the U.S. Virgin Islands. I stayed there for a period of my life up until I was about 11 years old. And then I relocated here to Georgia with my mother, whom I didn't have a relationship with because I didn't grow up with her. In that time, living with my mom, she had a new boyfriend. So it was just a lot of adjustments with the move, just learning mom and then got to learn boyfriend. In that time, I learned a lot of different things about her boyfriend that I did not intend to learn.
Mm.
He began to engage in different activities with me that just the typical stepdad and stepdaughter shouldn't have been engaging in. It was more so of a personal relationship amongst us instead of the relationship being so much intimate with him and my mom. As time went on, I eventually began running away because in the midst of all this chaos going on with me and my mom and her boyfriend, my grandmother went ahead and passed on in January of 2011. And from that moment, I began grieving, unaware that I was grieving, but I was grieving as I reflect back. And with me grieving, I was running away from home and I ended up running into the wrong person. And that was my trafficker who exploited me for a little over a year, rolling into 2 years.
Yeah, we most definitely sorry for your loss, and most definitely send our prayers and condolences. I know you said it's been a minute, but you losing a parent, losing any loved one, man, that could take a lifetime. But we learn how to maneuver and move on through life. So I want to two hands salute you for continuing your journey, with your loved ones and your little ones, right?
Absolutely.
Right. And I understand. So being a victim of the sex trafficking, I think your story read too, like, it's domestic violence. Would you mind sharing, to myself and viewers this dark side of your life for a minute in the streets?
Absolutely. So my experience with being trafficked was not the ordinary statistic story, just being abducted. It was more so on the lines where I willingly went with this person under the impression that I was going to get all this amount of money, lump sums amount of money, just to soon realize that it was not that. This person was very abusive to me. um, Thankfully, I didn't have to experience any kind of drug or alcohol usage while in this lifestyle, so I am grateful for that.
Awesome.
But I did meet many women that were older than me in the same lifestyle that were using drugs and things of that nature. In this journey with this person, it was a very, very tough journey, which I could say actually here on August 20th, which was yesterday morning, I finally got an email stating that my trafficker had removed me from his contact list in the federal prison. If you know, you know, they're the ones in control of who could be on there and who could be off. So even if you want to be off, you can't be off unless they take you off.
Wow, didn't know that.
So I mean, these inmates have a lot of control. Crazy. But in my journey with this, even when I met you, actually when I met you back, I think it was in 2020.
You know what? I don't remember. I know we was at the you was on the
McEastern.
panel. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
with Chandra Southern
Yes.
and
So
McKeechin. Right. Shout out to Big
so
Steve too.
when we was on that panel, after that panel I had the desire to reach out to my trafficker, not to really mend things or anything of that nature, but it was mostly to see, was he able to take accountability, was he at a stage to understand the impact he had on me as a victim, and even in my survivorhood I still deal with constant triggers and different things, because it's not something that just goes away in one day.
Right,
So
and I was going to ask you that when you stated that you know, being in contact with
yes.
with that individual, like, you know, how did you manage, and you know, was you just at a point where you were strong enough to face it, or was it just, you know, out of resentment? You know, some people have that spiritual moment where they like, I gotta forgive them for myself.
So
Where were you with that?
honestly, to even just be transparent here with everyone listening, honestly, I I thought I was ready, and through my whole journey of things that I experienced, especially all my sexual trauma, um the one person that I find very hard, and I still pray about this, forgiving, is my mom's boyfriend. But as far as my trafficker, I've never really had any ill, like, like forgiving issues with that. Um, Honestly, when I reached out to him, I wasn't as ready as I thought I was ready.
Mm-hmm.
So for a very long time, we had a lot of unnecessary communication, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And when I say unnecessary, I mean like we were like reminiscing on times, but not reminiscing in a way where it was accountability being taken or any kind of, I would have did this different. But over the last year, I would say, is when I started cracking down on him, because I then noticed that he started bringing up the conversation to go back to court to overturn some of his time. And I had to let him know that that was never my motive for reaching out. My motive was never to help you overturn any of your time, especially someone who still isn't able to take accountability. And, if he think times were hard back then and he had to traffic women, times are definitely different now. And the economy is at all-time high. So, that just wouldn't be something I'm open to.
Mm-hmm.
And just furthermore, it was just a manipulation game. And I mean, this past year, it actually was like very tearing to my emotions, because it was like he was playing the blame game, and it was still some manipulation there. And even in our final messages over the past week, I did have to let him know, this manipulation thing he's trying isn't working. And, I've been asking him to remove me from his contact list. And finally, I don't know if it was by force, because I did do some additional calls, or it was by choice, but I was removed. So I'm thankful for that.
Yeah. Question: was it something internally that you wanted him to say to you, or you know, I know you said accountability, but what does that look like for you? What, you know, something he needed to apologize? I mean, like,
So it wasn't even an apology. The biggest thing I have with the system is they give people a lot of time, but our system doesn't really offer proper rehabilitation for offenders. And when I say proper rehabilitation, I mean actual counseling, therapy, actually putting them in perspective and showing them the effect that they had on the people lives, especially the ones that committed crimes that were towards people or involved in other parties.
mm-hmm.
They don't offer the proper rehabilitation as they say they do, even as with jobs. You know, they say you could get a job as a felon, but it's so hard. It's honestly, it's not as easy as they make it sound.
Right.
And
I think I think it's where they look. You know, me being an
that too.
ex-offender, me being an ex-offender myself, and you know, being the president over at Project Keep Them Off the Streets. The government job. The crazy part is it's the government job. Now you coming out here just looking for, you know, I wouldn't say, you know, mom and pop places, but a lot of these places they have that you know, that criminal history blockage, you know, for those that have been to the penal system. But you know, when you're talking about the county, the waterworks, and you know, we talking about benefits. That's where I send people to, and anybody on the sound of my voice, I'm, you know, I'm like, hey, go to the county. You know, that's where they just don't, you know, they don't like for you to omit your crimes. But it's like, hey, go in there and tell the truth, and you know, they might ask you for an explanation. But you know, a lot of times, you know, you'll see that the government itself houses the the ex-offenders, you know,
That's correct.
with employment, right?
That's correct. So yeah, that was my whole motive, to actually put him in a realistic standpoint as far as like my daily struggles with this, and not just mine's but society, like
Mm-hmm.
how it affects the community as a whole, not just me only, because I'm one to millions that has been affected as a child by that harsh crime.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just, it wasn't as easy as I thought it was gonna be. And eventually I realized that task really wasn't for me.
Mm-hmm.
That, that
Did you have any support, like, you know, once, you know, I want you to kind of speak on like being a survivor. Is it a you got away? Did you get arrested? Did they find you? Like when you were able to get away from that situation, did you, was there a program? You know, what type of support
okay.
system, you know?
Yeah, so actually when I was recovered, the way I was recovered was because he had got arrested for a separate crime, and he was preparing to be released, and I was in fear because I had like a mental breakdown while he was incarcerated. I had damaged all his property, everything, clothing, anything that pretty much I felt like was purchased off of the benefits of my body. And he was getting ready to be released. So I reached out to my mom, and I believe she reached out to investigators. So they really took initiative to start looking for me heavily.
Mm-hmm.
And within 24 hours, they came to pick me up. And me being 14, 15, I don't know that police play mind games, and they tell you that they know things that they really don't know. So they kind of had assumed and played the card like they knew what I was doing, and I just kind of confessed to everything.
Mm-hmm.
And from there I went to Georgia Baptist Children's Home. At the time they were partnered with another program called Wellsprings, and so it was two programs combined into one, where I was offered counseling. In that process, I did relapse back to him.
Mm-hmm.
One time I ran away. And in that setting, that's when we were actually caught together by the FBI and GBI and things of
Wow.
that nature.
Mm-hmm.
So it became bigger.
Mm-hmm.
And after I returned back to the program, I completed the program. And from there, my home life still wasn't stable. My mom boyfriend still was in a home. So that really wasn't like a good place to place me back. But that's where the cards dealt for me. From there, life just did what life do, just going from one vulnerable situation to another, where I ended up getting married at a young age, having kids by someone who was like a drug dealer. So it just was it was like no time to heal. My healing didn't truly begin till after having kids, after going through postpartum, after like cycles of going to jail and having encounters with the law enforcement, just from me being vulnerable to be accepted by men and just partners and different things of that nature.
And with you having that history, how much or percentage did you bleed on people that didn't cut you? Like, tell us about that side.
So with my healing, honestly, just going through the process, it didn't get to, I didn't start actually bleeding on men until maybe after my divorce with my first husband. And in that divorce, it was just a lot. I was with someone who I was unequally yoked with, so that was a whole different thing right there. And then in the midst of that, during the divorce, they started practicing, other beliefs and just, I don't even know what to call it, but just these spells and all this non-biblical stuff that they just started practicing.
Wow,
And
really?
um in the midst of that is when I just started, becoming real ugly. And then when I met my second husband, it was bad. I was the abuser in the beginning. I became the abuser
Right,
because that's
like
what.
they say, what hurt people, right?
Yes, definitely, definitely. And it was a very learning experience, because I turned what was a good situation into a bad situation, because, you only could hit somebody so many times before they hit back.
Mm-hmm.
Not even in intents to hurt you, but you have to realize too, they come from a situation, and him himself, he was coming from an abusive wife prior to me. So it was just a lot of triggers. And in the process, it was, even with friendships, mostly it was like friendships, like I was just a terrible friend. Like I just was.
Did that come from like, you know, um, was it trust issues, or was it just you? Um,
um
sometimes we beat ourselves up because we wind up in situations, and then when people that come in our lives, we have a sense of the deflecting, and we just make the situation bad because we kind of embarrassed, and we wind up not being the best of friends. That I hear, when people go through a lot of different issues, it comes out of them in the most dauntingest ways.
so honestly, for me with my friendships, it's always been where I buy my friends. So when I say I'm a bad friend, it's like I would start buying my friends, and then when it gets to me internally, like, you really don't like me, you're just here for what I could do for you,
Mm.
and those things. And it was my own fault, but at that time I didn't want to take that accountability portion, so I would just say, you just flat out using me, which it was, they were using me, but at the same time it was my own fault,
Yeah,
if that.
seem like you created the situation at the same time.
Yeah, and it's kind of like now the situation is backfiring on me. I don't like it. So now I'm just gonna blemish your name and make it like you're the bad friend.
Yeah.
And over.
So we start playing what they say. We played the victim at that point.
Yeah. Yep, definitely. So, and then over time, it just like I realized I would stay in friendships. Like I stayed in a friendship for 10 years. And, sometimes when we use the word friend, we take that word so hard
So
and
overrated.
yeah, and we overlook things that people do to us because we say friend, like you're
Mhm.
my friend, so it's okay. You're my friend, so it's okay not to be here for me right now. I understand. I understand. And that's why I say I was a bad friend because I accepted things that I know that I truly didn't agree with, things that, just didn't make me feel like a friend.
Mhm.
And, even times in relationships I've been a bad partner, and it all stems from me not really getting that proper healing because sometimes life just seems like it's moving so fast, but you know what they say, we make time for the things we want
We want
in
exactly.
life, and
Exactly.
healing just wasn't ever
Right.
at the top of the list for me.
Right. And even growing up, I always say to this day, I still tell adults about their children and family members that when we was growing up, love was spelled Time. Everything else came when we was introduced to things. And
Mm-hmm.
as parents, we have to remember that too. Like they don't know anything until things are introduced to them. So when
Mm-hmm.
if you're a parent, and I tell a lot of guys this, there's a difference between a dead broke dad and a dead beat dad. Because the children,
Mm-hmm.
all they know is dad is here and he don't have to have nothing. It's the
Yeah.
love that's shown. You understand? So when a guy he's staying away because he's saying he don't have any money, I'm just like, you just don't understand the definition of love to a child, you know.
Mm-hmm. And honestly, it's crazy that you said that because I'm currently experiencing that now with my ex-husband. It's like you think it's money, 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 but and I tell all parents and everybody do what's best for you, but what's best for me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna force my kids on anyone. I don't care if it's their dad. I don't care if it's me, whoever it is. Yes, they're kids. They have feelings. They're entitled to that. And how they feel is how they feel. What I could tell you is the right way to feel. But even then, it comes some point in our lives, we have to honor their feelings. So, with that being said, I don't push my kids to call their dad. If they call them, they call them. If they don't, they don't.
Mm-hmm. Like I say, to each his own. You know, everybody has a different, path and feelings. It's a lot of stuff involved. So I advise people too. We can never judge a person's situation from the outside. You know what I mean? Even if we knew what was going on, we can't help it. Most definitely, we don't want to hurt it. You know. So Nathifa, answer this.
Mm-hmm.
What does it look like? Like I want you to speak to, because it's happening to the young men and the young ladies as well. But what I want to do this two-part question. What do you say to the parents to look out for their children in the event that somebody's trying to woo them in, and of course anybody can become a victim of the trafficking, human sex trafficking. What are some of the things that you would tell a parent to look out for, look into? What are those things?
My biggest thing, and I tell all parents, kids don't got no business. And when I say kids don't got no business, I mean they don't have no business amongst their trusted adults as far as you as a parent. So let's just say me and my partner, my kids don't have no business. Everything you do, I need to know. Your friend, who you on the phone with, what you doing. I should be able to pick up your phone and freely go through it at any given time. I mean, you just don't have no business. Like it's no privacy because you can't allow so much privacy, because that's when traffickers and people that are luring kids feel like, okay, they got a lot of, open ends, so I could get in here. She not that close with her mom. She don't tell her mom this. She don't tell her mom that. You know that little saying when parents used to be like, I'm not your little friend. I am my kid's little friend.
Hmm.
But they know it's a time to be their little friend and it's a time to be a parent. So it's also about having that balance and creating that boundary. Like, this is the space when we're gonna be little friend, and this is the space where I'm serious. Like, you have to have that balance. It's part of
Right.
being a parent, growing that balance and understanding, because these kids are exposed to a lot. It don't matter how much you try to shelter your kids, it's a lot. It's a lot in
Yeah, it's wide open.
schools,
It's
it's a
wide
lot in
open.
society. It's no sheltering. Like, as much as people like to water it down, I mean, to each his own. If your kid is innocent and you shelter them, I'm just not gonna shelter my kids, because I've had friends that has been sheltered, and I see my end of it from an unsheltered perspective.
Right. And that's
So
truly different. Now, I was a
it is.
PK kid, you know what I'm saying? And man, when I hit them streets, man, it was like a whole nother world. I felt like I
It
would
was
have
like,
been
it's
told
like a
everything.
kid in a candy store. It's
Get
like a
right,
kid in a
right.
candy store. And it's like they can't get enough. And then you as a parent, you begin to question yourself, like, where did you go wrong?
Hmm.
It's like you protecting them from things that is in society. Like,
Thing they
you
can learn from.
you want your kids to be innocent, but you could also, it's different ways to go about this. You could
Hmm.
teach them and expose them to this in a different perspective without even ruining their innocence.
And also it makes them what I come to figure out in my age now. It's like we also set them up to lie to us because of the expectations, you know what I'm saying, are so high, or even the fear that'll make them not tell us most things that they should tell us, come and tell us. So I've been just telling parents, you're going to have to be open. You're going to have to start having those uncomfortable conversations as well as family time. We're going to have to bring it up. I say, I'd rather, because these kids, man, they know some of everything. You just said
They
that
do.
yourself. So it's like when
And
we thinking, no, we're gonna wait till a certain time. It's like you don't even know how much they already know.
and even just the sex conversation, making your kids aware of their private parts, it is never too early for that conversation. If your kid is aware of those body parts, they should also know about good touches, bad touches, who are allowed to touch them, who are not allowed to
Hmm.
touch them. Because it could be a family member, it could be a counselor, it could be anybody.
Hmm.
These people come in all shapes and forms. It's no face to it. It's just like HIV. You can't go up to somebody and just say, I know you got it.
Hmm.
This thing is unfaced. It have no look, it have no smell, it have no kind of demeanor. It could be as innocent as me and you. We don't know. It could be somebody, a colleague sitting in the same board as us, and we don't know.
Right, right, right. It's my so that second part was with your open heart, like paint a picture for the youth. I mean, I'm talking about male or female to look out for. Is it a signature thing that they do? Is it just you trust somebody? And because one of my pet peeves is what I've been seeing, these young women that want to go modeling, they getting snatched up, not coming back. These young men
It's
trusting, so go ahead.
it's not even modeling. As I stated earlier, we're in a different economy after the pandemic. Things are we're in inflation. We live in inflation. Everything is expensive. Parents aren't able to, shop like we used to. Things just ain't as cheap as they used to be. So it could be something as simple as a Shin card. you know that's what girls is going for. Boys, I'll buy you a PS5.
Mhm.
You just come over here and chill. It's things like that. You just have to be aware, and you definitely have to ask the question, even as a young person, why do you want to do this for me? What do you want from me? Can
Right.
I tell my parents that you're gonna do this for me? What is my parents gonna think?
Because
Is
I
it
actually, I'm sorry,
is
go.
it gonna be okay with my parents? Even if you and your parents don't have a close relationship, still put that out there. Because one thing about a predator or someone that's coming to hurt you, they don't want nobody to know.
Yeah,
They
they
don't
want you
want
to
your
keep the
parents
secret.
here. They don't want your parents to know. So if it have to be secretive, you don't need it.
Mhm.
You don't need it.
And what I've noticed too, is that they think that it's a bad thing to tell their parents, and that's I'm hoping that they have their ears open, listening to you, um, and that you feel like they have that rebellious, so they feel like not to tell their parents. And I'm telling people all the time, like, the streets will really take you away from the people who really love you. The streets all has always promoted, advertised a false sense of family, false sense of love. And I'm just saying, it's out there, but I always feel like, to a certain extent, I understand, like, blood only makes us related, and and loyalty makes us family, but different stroke for different folks, you know what I'm saying? And I think it's not, of course, it's not a one size fit all, but I most definitely want them to know, parents, one, that they have to affirm their kids, make their children, man, every day. Because to me, when I look at it, it's always low self-esteem, or they wasn't given the proper information to survive out here. It happened to the best of us. So, I think somebody that might have had the information at a young age, still somebody out there, what I'm saying, might have had a little more experience or a little more tenacity to put their feet on the X.
Yeah, and definitely even it's parents. It really starts with parents, and we can't use the excuse that our parents didn't do it. You got to stop it somewhere, and it has to stop with you and your child. You can't I could use the excuse, my mom wasn't there, my mom didn't this, my mom didn't that. What good is that going to do for my child? It's just going to make my child be another product of me, and the same cycle continues. And it's sad that even I mentor a group of girls, and the biggest thing that I see, and I was driving somewhere in the car, and I was thinking, like, at 14, was I suffering with issues of confidence, self-esteem? Like, I'm thinking back at that age, like, I I always thought I was that girl.
Hmm.
I always thought I was that girl. Beside, I, s- I feel like as an adult, I have more issues now, but it's not because of society. It's not
Hmm.
because of nobody. It's just part of my healing journey and just reflecting. It's not even as if something is wrong with my body, because I have 3 kids, no stretch marks, flat stomach. It's not, it's just deeper than that. It's actually internal thoughts. It's not the outer appearance, it's the within.
Right, right.
So to
how
actually
we how we view ourselves sometimes
yeah
is so
so,
critical.
to actually see 14-year-olds write on a paper, and even just have one respond and say they just want to change the way they look, it's just like, parents, like, it's not going to kill you to tell your child they're beautiful. The
That's it.
kids that
That's
are
it.
more heavy set, don't body shame them. Encourage them to live a healthier lifestyle if that's the desire for your
Right.
kid. If they're a family that come from, the heavier set, that's just genetics. And but you still could work out. You still could live a healthy lifestyle in that setting.
Yeah, and telling
And
them that there's nothing wrong with them too. Like, we
it's
don't have
not.
to. Yeah, we don't have to try to fix anything unless we just
Yeah,
going with it's unhealthy. But
because
outside of that, it's like, no, you look good the way, and there's somebody for everybody.
and even that in the plus size community, even on social media, it's so many stores. Like, I can't think of the store name off top, but it's a store that does like this big annual thing for plus size women. You know, I see nothing wrong with plus size women, plus size kids, period. You're still just as normal as me as being 100 pounds at 200. You could be just as happy, cherry. It's nothing wrong with you. And it's parents, sometimes the parents, you have to reassure your kids, like, and parents
Yeah, that
tend to say,
affirmation, you got to affirm
yeah,
them every day.
and
Yeah,
you have to, as parents, sometimes you like, I tell you this every day, like, you should know this. Well, sometimes, they need it every day. It's just like in a relationship, you need your partner to hug and
yeah.
kiss you so you can know that they still in tune with you.
Right,
Like,
right.
or
My
when you go to bed.
incident, like with even with my oldest daughter, and she's at that age where a lot of things she wants that you didn't say thank you. You didn't. And what I was just telling her this the other day. I was like, listen, sometimes I might not say it because I want you to know that whatever you do and you do it from the heart, you did a great job, because I don't want her feeling like she need to be acknowledged, or she need accolades every time she do something, because I'm still like, well, if
Right.
it starts at home. So I'm like, no, if you doing something from the heart, if nobody tells you anything, you did a great job. Because what happened is, if we fall into that, and it's a
She'll
vicious.
seek that from
Yeah, she'll
other
see that.
men,
Yeah, that
and
validation every time
yeah,
she using it. So, and the first time somebody don't outside, or what if they don't like it and
it
just
could
ask
trigger.
what you didn't do? You're gonna be crushed.
Yeah, it could trigger something. So, but and you did a good thing. You have to ensure her the breakdown of it, the reality of it. When you do things from your heart, sometimes you know, we don't want our kids to run into people that will use them, but it is out there.
Hmm.
So even with that, you still have to take that and know I did it from my heart, and that's all that matters. And that's the part that nobody can take it from you. You did it a pure, genuine act, not
Hmm.
looking for anything back in return. You just did, what you felt in your heart to do.
Right, right. I want to take a minute, man, to shout out to be sure listeners and viewers to leave your comments. We're gonna have all the information in the comment section. Be sure to ask your questions, and we're gonna have Nathifa information in there. So if you got some young ladies that you want, someone that has walked that walk and talked that talk, be sure to reach out to her. We're gonna have all the social media information. Um, and the information on you will see when you watch this video. See, so we're gonna jump into part two. Like I said, I don't want to hold you. We're gonna do a riding shotgun with QTV. I'm gonna ask you a few questions. You just tell us the first thing that comes to your mind. Uh,
Okay.
if you were an animal, what would it be and why?
I would be an elephant because they're large. And I mean, you just can't run over them. They doing all the running over. So they're big and bold, and
They stepping on stuff, you hear me?
yeah, you can't miss an
And
elephant.
you ain't gonna you're not gonna push them over either.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. Um, do you prefer to be liked or feared?
Um, I'm in the middle. I'm in the middle because I'm trying to grow back into being a social person.
Hmm.
I am currently a person that's socially awkward.
Hmm. Hmm. You and I.
So, yeah,
I started all these platforms. Sometimes we can be doing all the great business, but people don't be knowing it'd be therapy for us at the same time.
yeah. So I'm in the middle with that.
Okay, okay. So which superpower would you choose if you could have just one?
Um, to be invisible.
Right. Okay, okay, okay. Just a few more. Um, what does community mean to you?
Community is something to me that comes together, something that is a unit as one, meaning, we stick together, we come together when it's time to, like, it's like family. It would be like a family oriented space to me.
That village, right?
Yeah.
And all the things that it possessed. Now we talked about your upbringing. We talked about you know, the dark side, what you went through, some of the positive encounters. We talked about, the transitioning from, allowing, talking to the individual, that turn you on to that lifestyle, all that good stuff as well. But then I want to talk about briefly about, the overcoming part, because I know you as a businesswoman as well, you started several businesses. Tell us about some of the things that you ventured in, and also, just, what did it take for you to move on to get into business and not be, like you said, you was a bad friend, you was a bad wife. How did that look when you came over and wanted to do business?
So originally, my business story is always funny to me. So during the pandemic, I had this opportunity to meet this amazing friend. Um and they had brought the idea to me to make a t-shirt business. I had the money, the financial portion, and they had the idea. So me, being me, I was like, okay, I'm not doing nothing in my day to day. At the time, I was like working jobs just because I was bored, because financially I was in a good stance. So I invested in, it was a t-shirt business, and me being the kind of person I am, to know me is to know I'm 100 people in one. So I pretty much, anything I say I want to do, I'm gonna do it. No matter how it turns out for me, I'm gonna do it to know I did it. So I did the t-shirt business with this friend at the time, and invest lots, hundreds and thousands of dollars. And eventually, as a business partner, I realized when you go into a business, you do have an investor, but part of being an investor, I shouldn't have been doing as much work as I was doing to make back the money.
Mm.
And it felt like I was making the money back on my own. But I was still, splitting the money with my friend, because that
Mhm.
was friend. And, it goes back to what I said: when we say friend, we override things. But eventually I did part ways from that. I kept my business going for a few years after that. And eventually I realized, I snapped back to reality, and I realized that was never my dream, never in my plans for me to run a t-shirt business. I sometimes think about doing the t-shirt business. I just wouldn't do it I have a different way. I say that. I have a much
Right,
more
right.
way that don't require as much of me as it did the first time around. And even with being a business partner, it was hard. It, like I said, when you have to break off things with friendship and mixing business, that was definitely not something I would recommend.
Mhm.
Um, without having a clear understanding, I'm not gonna say I wouldn't do it again, because I probably would, with clear understanding and, stricter grounds, because I know what it takes. And even then, I had a nonprofit because I started feeding the homeless, and just different things that
Mhm.
I venture off in. Anything, I tell people anytime, anything you put your mind to, you could do it. It don't even take as much to start business.
It's
You know,
it really don't. People tell me all the time. I mean, we have the DJ service, the QTV, and all the services we offer, the lawn service, and it's like, I've manifested, talked things up, and it didn't cost a lot. Even my first cameras, I went to the pawn shop. I mean, it just, because
yeah.
when I'm sharing information with some of my clients about business and structure and starting, and it's always like, they don't have no money for this. And I'm like, but they never know how much it costs. And I'm like, slow down, slow down, slow down. If you
Yeah.
can't tell me how much something costs, how do you know you don't have enough money for it?
And the
Sometimes I
one
got a lot of
thing,
stuff, but by asking people for stuff I saw. So, closed mouth don't get fed, like a closed book don't get read.
And the one thing I tell people, and I shy away from this because I used to do this a lot. I'm like a person that loves to go out to eat, and I
Mm.
tend to tell people, and this is only under circumstances that my budget to go out to eat is unlimited because I like to go out to eat. So I used to tend to tell people, oh, it's cheap. It's cheap. And, what's cheap to me may not be cheap to you, and what's expensive to me may not be expensive to you. So I tend to tell people, do your research. Do your research. I'm gonna give you my feedback on it, but do your research. I still want you to go there and get your own opinion and things like that, especially if it's something you have your mind set on. But starting a business isn't as complicated. I tell my kids all the time, if you stop talking about it and you start doing, you'll get a whole lot more done.
I'm trying to tell you, let's talk more work. And then to me, I tell people, man, I'm like, it's a paperwork game. It's so much free funding out here, so much money out here. And I'm like, you got to do the first thing first. People want to do business, but then they don't want to do the right business or good business. They'll start a
Right.
business like no business card, no website, no, you didn't go register your business. I'm like, no, you're hustling. You know what I mean? Let's get it right. Start a business out there. Nathifa, man, we showing up. Appreciate you stopping by the green room. We most definitely don't want to hold you, but before you get out of here, we gotta have you give a positive word. I mean, we call it QTV off the top. Give the world your message.
Um, right now, this this it's just been one spirit that's been lingering over me, and I've been stressing it even on my platform. And this for everybody. As you experience change in your life, be prepared to be uncomfortable. Not uncomfortable for the bad, but uncomfortable for the good. Because, getting comfortable isn't always a good thing like we think it is. We get comfortable and complacent in things that we shouldn't, and it stops our growth. So always be comfortable in the uncomfortable.
Man, that's a word if it ever was one, and I dig it, right? Without the shovel, you know what I'm saying? It's QTV, Dr. Harper in the building, QTV Multimedia in the green room. Sis, tell them who you are, plug in your social handles, and be sure to put your cash out, however you receive your funds. Let the people know that for those that want to support. You dig?
I am Nathifa Rukiyaa on all platforms. It will be attached to the video. That's on every platform: YouTube, Snapchat, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. I don't really do Cash App and things like that, but I'm out there. And once you find my social media, it's a link in my bio where you are able to donate and do as you please.
There it is. Good sister said she out there. Look for her. She'll be where she at when you get there. You know what I'm saying? QTV, where pictures are worth 1,000 words, but the video tells it all. At QTV Multimedia, we offer affordable prices for all of your audio and visual needs, graphic design, editing, streaming, event setup, multi-camera production, and all that. Again, shout out to our partners, Ministry of the Holy Spirit, Dr. Sarah Harper out there on the east side stand up the cab, locked on you out there. Also, Project Keep Them Off the Streets, a 501c3 nonprofit youth focused organization helping you help our youth. A real positive reinforcement. You did what I'm saying? Shout out to you, all the haters and the non-believers, because you made me believe it's all on me. And we're gonna catch you next time. And we're out.